All right, so this unit is not going to take us long at all. It's literally just 1 week, and it shouldn't take us too many brain cells to figure out what to do. Volume is very similar to surface area, except surface area, remember, was the outside. So surface area was like wrapping paper. Volume is the inside. So how much it takes to fill up a figure. Once again, if you're going to be filling up a figure, it has to be a 3D shape, because obviously you can't fill up a figure that's flat. So just like surface area, we're dealing with 3D figures now. We're teaching it now because I want to show you using decimals and fractions, kind of like one-step equations. So we had to get through some things before we got to volume, but we're here now. So the formula is pretty simple: length times width times height. These are always going to be calculator active questions. I'd be very shocked if one was not calculator active. Everyone I've seen has been with a calculator, so we're going to use our calculator today. And it's literally just multiplication. There might be 1 or 2 times that there's an extra step where you have to divide, but I'm going to show you what those types of problems look like. But really, most of the time, volume is very simple, and it's just multiplying the 3 numbers they give you. We're going to do a couple examples, and that should be good for you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, a lot of kids struggle with drawing these shapes. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so just do the best you can. All right, so number 1. Let's see. I do recommend doing it the same way I do it, because if you just try to draw it freehand, it gets a little bit messy. Okay. It's also very helpful to have lined paper. So if you're doing it on blank paper, it might be a little more difficult. All right, so remember, this is the front. The back's back here. Well, if the front is 1 line, then the back has to be 1 line as well. And then we connect our sides. All right, so that's really all you can see. But I'm going to draw in the dotted lines for the sides that you can't see. All right, so there's our rectangular prism. Only thing missing now is some numbers to be the lengths for the sides. Looking for a color to use. All right, so if I tell you, this is not at all drawn to scale, by the way. We're just throwing in some numbers. So if I tell you that this right here is 8 centimeters, and then I tell you that this one over here is 12 centimeters, and then I tell you that this side is 2 centimeters. All right, and they say find the volume. Okay, all you have to do is multiply the 3 sides that they give you. All right, so remember, volume is length times width times height. All right, and remember, multiplication is commutative, so it really doesn't matter what numbers you put in these spots. They're all going to give you the same thing anyway. Remember, we do a cursive L, because if I just did a regular L, it looks like a 1. So make sure that L is cursive. So now we can just plug in numbers for these spots. So if I choose 8, 12, and 2, these numbers aren't that difficult, but like I told you, it will be calculator active, so we can use our calculator. So we've got 8 times 12 times 2, and we get 192 centimeters, and this time it is cubed, okay? Think about it this way. You had to multiply 3 numbers, so your exponent needs to be a 3. Remember when we were doing surface area and area, it was cubed. It was squared, because it was just 2 numbers. It was just length times width. This one is cubed because we're doing 3 numbers now. Okay? All right, let's go try another one. Let's see. Let me give you, let's do, All right, so that's my front. That's the top, side. Once again, I'll draw in the dotted lines so we can see those sides that are there, but we can't see. All right, so this one's kind of like a cube, but long and skinny, okay? Let me give you your numbers. $3.5. Let's do 9.1. And then we'll say 3.5 again. Okay? So once again, we're just going to plug in our numbers. Remember, it's length times width times height. All right, let's plug in our numbers. So we've got 3.5 times 9.1 times 3.5. And then I just need to multiply all three of those. And it doesn't matter that I've already used this one. You still have to use it again because, like I said, it's two different sides. So like this is your length, but this is your height. So make sure you don't leave one of those off. All right, and so then we can multiply these. So 3.5 times 9.1 times 3.5. And I get 111.475, and it is inches cubed. Okay? All right, let's do one more. All right, now this one is going to have a fraction, and it's going to be a little bit different, but don't let that confuse you. Like, I don't mean to throw two different things at you, but I do want to make sure you understand how to do these. So let's do and okay, let me draw in my dotted lines. All right. Now let me give you your numbers. So let's do 4 feet over here. We're going to say this one down here is 10 2/3 feet. And another one we have is this height right here. And we're just going to put it as y. Okay? So a couple of reasons why this one's different. First of all, it's different because it's got a fraction. All right, but that wouldn't normally change anything. All right, that's not really a big deal because we know how to multiply fractions. The difference here is that I'm missing this side right here. And actually, let me fix that real quick so that I don't confuse you. Let's just go ahead and make this an h so we can say it's the height. All right, so don't worry about that y. Just leave it as an h. All right, so we still have our formula. Okay? And let's plug in what we got. So I got 4 times 10 2/3 times h. Okay? But one thing they do tell me is they're going to tell me, I'll put it down here. They're going to tell you, hey, your volume is going to equal 256 feet cubed. All right, so normally I'm trying to find this answer, but this time they've given me the answer. This time I'm missing one of my sides. So in other words, I got to figure out what can I plug in right here that when I multiply these is going to end up giving me 256. Okay, so it's kind of like working backwards a little bit. If this was a multiple choice question, what you could do is take each answer choice, substitute it in for h, multiply them, and see what gives you 256. Okay, that's one way you could do this. We're going to solve it kind of like a one-step equation. Okay, so I'm going to plug in this 256 because I know it needs to equal 256. okay? I'm gonna multiply what I do have. So I'm gonna multiply this right here. So 4 times 10 and 2/3, okay? So if I do 4 times 10 and 2/3, I end up getting 42 and 2/3 times h. All right, so remember, this is a one-step problem, okay? So just look at this right here. So remember, what are 42 and 2/3 and h doing? They're multiplying. So I need to do the opposite. I need to do the inverse. So what is the inverse of multiplying by 42 and 2/3? It's dividing. So if I divide by 42 and 2/3, remember, these right here will go away. They'll cancel out. But whatever I do to one side, I gotta come over here and do to the same side, or to the other side. Okay? So don't worry, you can take your calculator, and we can do 256 divided by 42 and 2/3, and I get 6. So that tells me that h equals 6 feet. So what that's telling you is that your missing third side right here should be 6. Now, what I would do to double check your work is plug it in to make sure. So in other words, if I do 4 times, I'm just looking at this right here, 10 and 2/3 times, remember, I know what this h is now. I know h is 6, so I'm going to substitute it back in, and it does give me 256. So I know that I did it correctly. So the answer for this problem isn't 256, because remember, they gave you that to begin with. The answer is 6. That's the missing side, okay? So once again, most of the time when you have a volume question, they're going to be very simple like these first two were. You're just going to multiply the three numbers they give you. Sometimes, though, it'll be an extra step like this right here. But remember, that's not the end of the world. They give you the answer. You just got to figure out what number you can plug in to give you that answer, okay? So we're going to keep practicing with this all week, and hopefully you'll get the hang of it.